friends, Kim from Stamping Imperfection. Thank you for joining me today. I am here making a video for Scrappy Tails Crafts, and this is my last video as part of the design team. It's been a great year, and I have been coveting this stamp set. This is called the Candlelight Poinsettia, and this was released in October 2020, and I think it's still one of my favorite stamp sets that Sabrina has come out with, and I couldn't resist doing a card with this today. I was thinking about doing some masking and making a one-layer card, but then I thought about this beautiful Christmas essentials die set, and I believe it at one point it was called the Winter Essentials die set, and now it's called the Christmas Essentials die set. But I love it. You know, I love it. I've done several videos on it, and it will be something that I continue to use. But I really can't wait to make just a very classic Christmas card. And I decided I'm going to layer all the stuff. I'll do an ink blended background and layer all the goodies together. So I decided that at this moment, I don't know which one of those images I want to use. So I'm going to stamp the entire thing. And I'm going to color everything in, cut it all out, and decide as I build the card. So this is the first time I'm using it. I just got this stamp set, and I'm using my high polymer eraser to condition the stamps. And I just basically drag it across each of the stamps to remove the manufacturer's residue. And now I'm using my Catherine Pooler Midnight Black ink. And notice I'm not putting it in my MISTI. I'm going directly to the paper. I want to stamp the whole thing, so I'm just going to keep this easy and use the plastic that it came on. I flipped it over, and then I'm just giving everything a good press. I actually have a placemat, which it's like an inexpensive vinyl placemat underneath it, so it's got some give. A little bit of give on your surface with like a piece of craft foam or something really does help the image turn out better. So you can see that Midnight Black ink is just a beautiful ink to stamp in. So I'm pulling out my Copics. Here are my two favorite combinations, and this is R59, 37, 35, and 32. And I'm just basically going to color these in, and I'm going to play around with the two different color schemes because the other one is 29, 27, 24, and 22, I believe. So I'm going to play around with different color combinations, and I'm going to do the same thing with the greens. I always start with the dark. I go to the next dark, the next lightest, and I work my way from dark to light, just because that's the way I was taught, and now it's just a habit. But I do like to experiment with different color combinations. So I'm going to use a couple different red combinations here. And you know what? They don't have to be red. You could make them white with a little bit of a pink tinge like you see in the stores. Like there are some really pretty different color combinations. So I went ahead and colored all those in. I cut everything out. I went ahead and die cut the pieces from that Christmas Essentials set. I love these, and of course I love the Spring Essentials set and the other foliage one. I can't remember what that one's called, but I love them. Like Sabrina has two sets of these like foliage dies, and this is why I love them. I'm just basically placing things and I'm filling in, and I love, when I scrapbook, I love giant ephemera clusters. So I really use all the ephemera. I can use an entire package of ephemera on one or two layouts only. So I really love layering things. So I'm just trying it out and see. And I don't like where I'm putting the pine cones, but eventually, I will. That's basically what I do. I try out a few different things, But I do know that I want to do an ink blended background, and I wanted to do something other than a night sky background. So since I have candlelight, I decided I wanted to do some yellow. So I pulled out Wild Honey, and that's going to be my bright center. Then I'm just doing a little bit of scattered straw around it just to gently blend that in. And then I pulled out Antique Linen. And ordinarily I would use mustard seed and scattered straw and something light. I'm just playing around with different color combinations to see what different combinations I can come up with that I like. And I liked this. I liked that this was pretty soft on the edges and nice and bright in the middle. That Wild Honey gives you a nice bright coloring. So I just went back over the scattered straw part and then back over the center with that Wild Honey just to brighten it back up. And then I built my card. I went ahead and built my card on that. Now the base of the evergreen stuff and the branches, those are all actually placed, and the candles, by the way, they're all placed with liquid glue. Then the poinsettias and acorns have a little bit of foam tape behind them just to pop them up. And I really like the way this came out, actually. And you can see I used a little bit of gray around the candle drips and along the edges and bottom of my candles. And it's like, it didn't take away from the fact that they still look white. But sometimes you need to add that color to give your image some dimension and some realism. And I think it's fun to experiment with that and figure out what works best. So, and it depends really. And those are the I think I used W6, W4, and W2. Actually, I think I used W3 and W1 instead of W4 and 2 because my W4 is needs to be refilled, my Copic. So I used some chocolate brown cardstock here to create a card base. I'm trimming off all the stuff hanging over, which kind of broke my heart to do. I actually kind of wish I had left that. I really like the way it looked hanging over the edge. And I do have some 5x7-inch cards I could have stuck it in, but they might have all gotten bent on the way to the person's house anyway. So I did trim it off on the edge, and I like the color combination a lot. And I just feel like it needs a little bit more. So I did cut down a white card panel here. This is 4x5.5, 4x5.25, which is what the panel that I ink blended the yellows on was, 4x5.25. And I'm just going to put this inside. I don't usually show what I do to the inside of the cards. I should be showing that because it is always different. And this time I have some extra goodies left over, and I have one poinsettia, so I'm going to actually add that with a little bit of liquid glue. And isn't it pretty inside there? In this one I used some yellow green colors instead of the bright greens, and I added a layer of yellow over the top of the leaves in both of the color combinations that I used. And I like having a little bit of a yellow cast to the leaves. I also did a little bit of the yellow on the candles, the edges of the candles as well. And I felt like that made a bit of a difference. So I'm just adding the sentiment that comes in the set. It says, "Have yourself a merry little Christmas." It's a teeny tiny font. So I gently inked that up so that I wouldn't get blobs of ink between those tiny little letters. I'll put all the links to the stamp and die set below here, and I would love it if you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed, and click the bell so you get notifications every time I upload a new video. So I just got these crystal drops. And if you're like me, you've been visiting scrapbook.com every day because they're giving away freebies. I don't place very many orders, but I did place one. And I got this Pops of Color for free. This is their glitter snowflake color, and it was free. So I placed a small order, and by small I mean a a stamp set or actually I bought some scrapbooking paper, and I'm just putting these all around on this, and they're clear when I put them down, and when they dried, the ones on the yellow background actually have a yellow tint to them, so they're kind of pretty, and the other ones are pretty clear and sparkly. Then I decided, oh, I've got some more sparkle in there, and I pulled out some Stickles that I have had. I probably got these free also, because I don't buy this kind of stuff. I wait till it's free. And I'm putting on some red sparkly Stickles, and I'm putting those on the twig branches, just on the ends. And that is actually, I really liked that I did this, because it actually felt like I completed the picture of the reds, because now I've got red above the candles and above the pine cone to the right. So like, I liked that. And then I took the blue Stickles that I have and did that in the center of the flowers, and I like the touch of blue. I actually really like the touch of blue. Now, the key here is put that somewhere you're not going to touch it for a few hours. So thank you so much for watching, friends. Have a wonderful holiday.